Voter's Diary is sponsored by Samsung. Samsung, inspire the world, create the future.
This is the Election Bureau. Welcome to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Lokko. Thank you so much for making time to join us again for the Voters Diary. We continue our conversations around key regions in the country, and our focus continues to be the Greater Accra Region. But today we'll wrap up on that region. When we come back, I'll tell you the 6 constituencies, or 9 rather, that we'll be talking about today. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Lokko. Today I'll be having the conversation with my 2 guys that I've been doing this with this week. I have Bernard Avle. He's on the City Breakfast Show every day from Monday to Friday from 6:30 to 10 o'clock. Bernard, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
And then I have Kojo Akoto Boateng also on the Breakfast Show every day. Kojo also heads our new media team here at City FM and City TV. Kojo, welcome.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm well.
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday.
When we finish the show, we have closed.
So why are we going after the show? Goodbye.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Okay. So, gentlemen, welcome. We're wrapping up with the Greater Accra Region today. We're going to look at 9 key constituencies. The 3 have common names running through, but they're very important constituencies. So these constituencies, the Okankwe, the Ayawaso, and the Ablekuma constituencies. Okay, so let me start with you, Bernard. These constituencies, let's start with Ayawaso and look at its division into 3, why we did that, and we'll go through the rest.
So thank you, Vivian. The reason these constituencies are important is that they were part of Accra Metro for many years until municipalities and metropolitan assemblies were created out of them. So, for example, if you take the 2010 census and you take Accra metropolitan area, Ablekuma North, Ablekuma West would be in Accra Metro, as would Ablekuma South. Okay, Ayawaso Central, Ayawaso East, Ayawaso North, Ayawaso West will all be in AMA, Accra Metropolitan, but they are all now stand-alone assemblies. Okay. Of course, Klotekol is also in Ayawaso, it's also in Accra Met, as is Okankwe North. So the point I'm making is that the reason these constituencies have to be discussed together is that they form the building block of AMA, apart from, of course, Ododo and Klotekol, the coastal community. So these are AMA without the coast. This is what they used to be right now. So they are the best way to think about this is to think about moving from the sea upwards. Now, if I move from the sea upwards, we have the Ablekuma South, Ablekuma Central, and Ablekuma North. Right? Those are the 3. So Ablekuma South starts from Choko, Kolebu, Mamprobi, Ablekuma South, all the way to Mamponse. For many years, it was the seat that Teresa Tego was MP for. Okay. Then you move up north, and I'll come back to Ablekuma South. Then you move up to Ablekuma Central. Right? When you have Ablekuma Central, you're talking about Mataheko, Latebi Okoshi, you're talking about Abose Okai. All right? Then up above that is Ablekuma North. You have Dakuman, you have Nyamiche areas, Kokompe. Okay? So that's Ablekuma. So there are 3 Ablekuma: South, Central,
and North. Okay.
Good. Then adjacent to that, and all these were part of AMA, then adjacent to that, you have the Okankwe constituencies. Okankwe was 2. Okankwe South and Okankwe North. Up until 2012, when Okankwe Central was carved out of Okainkwe South. Okainkwe South is Kanishi, major Kanishi area, Swan Lake, going all the way. That was when Nana Akufo-Addo was MP for 4 consecutive terms. Then you had across the road, so this went all the way to, included Abeka, Apenkwa, but they carved out Okainkwe Central out of that. Then across the road, Achimota Akweteman is Okainkwe North. All right, and all of this was AMA. Then you have the 4 Ayawasos. Now, I'm told that the capital of ancient Accra was actually Okainkwe. Okay. Then you have Ayawaso. The Ayawasos also, they were initially 3. Ayawaso East, Ayawaso Central, and then Ayawaso West. Ayawaso West is called Ayawaso West Wogon. So Ayawaso East was Nima and Mamobi in the past. Then Ayawaso Central was Kokomilimle and Alajo. Then Ayawaso West was Legon, Jowulu, Abelenkpe. Then they carved Ayawaso East into 2 and created Ayawaso North. So Ayawaso North then became Mamobi, Kotobabi, and Ayawaso East is Nima.
Okay.
Good. So the reason these constituencies have to be discussed together is that they form the large chunk of AMA. So if for example, Kojo shows you Accra Metro map, most of the constituency capitals I'm mentioning were key sub-metros in AMA. Okay. Now, you need to discuss them as a block because they are very similar features. So, for example, if you take a normal district or constituency, what are the features? The age distribution, the kind of houses they live in, the kind of professions they do, what kind of amenities they have, what kind of ethnic makeup they are. They have differences which account for the voting differences, but this is the bulk of urban Accra, away from the coast, away from Tema, away from the Ga South and Ga West we discussed, and away from the fringe. So this is the middle part, the highly urbanized part. So this will be in the case of Kumasi, places like Subin, places like Amekum, places like Bantama, the middle of Accra. Kojo.
And they all fall under the AMA.
I don't know if you have the map of the AMA.
We'll put the map up.
Then we can then distinguish between the two and give you a bit of history.
Yeah, we'll put the map up and then we'll also run through the system
the map quickly.
with the Google satellite. So if Fred will put that map up.
We'll go to the map later. We are having a bit of challenge.
So let's start.
If we go to the map, then let's take you through. Let's give people even a bit of a vision of the areas aside the map, because Google will give us some very good demarcation. So I'll start from the Ablekuma area. Now, if you look at this, where the red lines. Where you see the red line is the boundary.
We don't have it.
We don't have it. Okay.
So let's start with Ablekuma South. So Ablekuma South is the constituency that is the coastal part of this. It's the only coastal in the constituency I've mentioned. Of the 9 I've mentioned, the only one that's coastal. It used to be larger than it is today. In 92, MPP didn't run the parliamentary election, so NDC won it, presidential and parliamentary. In 96, Teresa Ameletego became the MP for Ablekuma South, and she maintained the seat twice. So she's a 3-term MP, 96, 2000, 2004. It's a massive constituency, very, very large. Now,
what's the population size?
We can pull that for you.
The population of Ablekuma South when it comes to voter population, and this is just with total valid votes. For 2012 it was 61,000. 2016 it came to 58,000. But if you look at the municipal area, the Ablekumas and the Okaikwes, they are amongst the most populous municipal areas. For example, if I'm to run through Ablekuma Central Municipal, the population as of 2010 was 233,000. In 2016, it increased to 294,000. That's the municipal area. Ablekuma North, 2010 was 184,000. Now in 2016, 232,000. Ablekuma West, 59,000 to 75,000.
So
now,
please add Ablekuma West to Ablekuma South in the original Ablekuma South description I'm giving.
Yes.
Because there is a Tego Ablekuma South was West and South together. So
there was a separation?
Yes, the separation occurred in 2012. Up until then, it was one of the largest constituencies.
So they took bits and pieces, because if you look at Greater Accra Region, the number of districts is lower than the number of constituencies.
Yes.
In the case of the Ablekuma area, you have about 3 distinct districts and you have about 4 constituencies. So they took bits and pieces and put them together. And all the districts together, we are looking at close to 500,000 when it comes to, in fact, we are looking at a little over 500,000 when it comes to the population. So it's quite big.
Yeah, right.
Really, really big.
So the areas in Ablekuma South and West together, initially you have for Koligono, Mamprobi, as I said, Choko, New Mamprobi, then the West, Ablekuma West, which was carved out of South in 2012. You had a place they call Opetekwe, where Godfrey lives, Otojo, Mansralo, Zodiac, Akuko Photo. Okay, then you have
the Dansoma areas.
Yes, Agege Mamponse, Shiabu Glefe. They are all. So this was a massive. So again, if you understand anything about early MPP politics, there is Atego was one of the most important guns in MPP.
That's true.
There is Atego and ICQ, and I'll explain ICQ shortly. So to be able to win this seat 3 times, and think about it, it was in 2008 that Fritz Barfour defeated Kojo Smith. So in fact, if the people think that Atego has 2, she will still have 1 because if you look at
what was her hold on that constituency?
I don't have all the history, but you know the way that the Ghana politics works. Certain personalities are iconic in some of the causes they've stood for and some of the things they've done. And I'm sure the people in MPP can tell you why she was so iconic. But she was important for MPP because this constituency's characteristics are not unilaterally MPP. Okay, if you look at her margins, it shows you that she was a very strong candidate because in 2008, Fritz Barfour beat Kojo Smith to win that constituency. And then when they split it in 2012, that's when we actually saw the character of the constituency, that the South went 60-40 NDC, and then the West went 60-40 MPP. So it was when they split it that we actually realized that this was 2 constituencies in one, and Atego was able to get, of course, the MPP part is the Nansoman part, but because she's a typical guy from the coast, she was able to also pull some of the NDC people in. All right, when Kojo Smith couldn't continue that when 2008 came. Wow. So the constituency has both coastal and non-coastal features because Dansoman is one of the highly urbanized parts of Accra, but then not too far from this new Dansoman, there's old Dansoman, which is at the sea. There's Glefe, with a lot of migrant people there as well. So that's Ablekuma South. It's now relatively easy to predict who's going to win. If you look at the 2016 figures, I know Kojo can mention the 2. You can tell that the NDC's former mayor of Accra, Alfred Okovandapoe, won reasonably well, as did Esla Owusu. Esla came into the picture in 2012 when the split came, and then she took Ablekuma West twice. Just remind us of the... Okay, so Ablekuma
South, as you are talking about, the NDC won in 2012 with 18% of the marginal percentage was 18%. Margin. So it was a strong constituency, if you want to put it that way. In 2016, it dropped to a little over 9%, which was a bit weak compared to the 2012 win. Yes. Now, in 2012, NPP got 24,000, NDC got 35,000. In 2016, NPP got 26,000, and NDC votes dropped by a little over 4,000 to 31,000. So the difference between 2012 and 2016 actually dropped. So in 2012, the difference between NDC and NPP was 11,000. Okay. Now in 2016, the difference was rather 5,455. So it was almost about a 50% drop, which also reflected in the percentages, so from 18% to 9%. So that is Ablekuma South for you. Now,
for those who watch CTTV, when Neil Ante was reporting during the COVID, there was this woman who says, 1P in Towe, she was speaking from Choko. That's typical Ablekuma South. And when she was talking, the people were watching her, she was demonstrating. So that video was from Ablekuma South, for those who want to remind themselves.
Now, Ablekuma West, 2012-2016, fully for NPP, strong wins. In fact, they made gains in Ablekuma West. If you look at 2012, NPP got 36,000, NDC got 25,000. 2016, NPP got 37,000, NDC votes dropped to 22,000.
So NPP gains 1,000, NDC loses 3,000.
So the margin in 2012 was 11,000. Margin in 2016 was 14,000, and the percentage increased from 18% to 25%. So the NPP actually gained in 2016 in Ablekuma West, and they strengthened their hold in that particular constituency in 2016.
So Kolegono, Kolebu, Mamprobi, Choko, Ablekuma South, Begbeise, Agege, Opetekwe, Zodiac, Akukofoto, Otojo. This is Ablekuma West. So it was a toss-up constituency that was split into NDC and NPP because it was won 3 times by NPP, won once by NDC, and it became a split constituency. So that's Ablekuma South. Ablekuma North is a completely different kettle of fish. Ablekuma, let's do Ablekuma Central first. I think of all the constituencies in Ablekuma Central is the most difficult to predict.
Yeah. Why is that?
I think
it swings. I think it swings.
Okay.
It's a swing.
The swinging is a consequence of the nature. So yes, it swings. All right. So let's talk about it swinging. Ablekuma Central swings because in '96 NPP won it. Clement Crab. All right. Of course, 92 NDC won, but 92 there was no
real competition.
So Clement Crab won for instance NPP in '96.
Okay.
Okule Norte won it in 2000 for NPP. The margins were not that large. 2004, Okule Norte maintained it for NPP. The margins were very tight. 2008, Tetechai Theophilus won it for NDC. And he also maintained it in 2012.
Okay.
So NPP 96, 2000, 2004. NDC, Tetechai 2008, 2012. 2016, NPP takes it back, Ninai, nothing. So it's very difficult to predict. Now, let me give you some of the places there that will give us a clue of the... So there's Aboso Kai.
Happening. Okay.
So again, if you don't know Accra, if you get to Obechebilamte Circle and you're driving to Kaneshie, on your left is Aboso Kai, all the way to ICGC. So it borders Ablekuma South and Kolebu. You see, so when you're driving from Obechebilamte to Kolebu, so you go to...
Is that map ready?
Aboso Kai, Zongo Junction,
okay, so the
Zongo Junction, Kolebu. So you see my point. So Ablekuma South is Kolebu. Its border is Ablekuma Central. So if you go to Martin de Porres School, that road that leads to Latebi Okosi is the separation between Ablekuma South and Ablekuma Central. Do you follow me? So you have Latebi Okosi is in Ablekuma Central.
Okay.
That's where it starts from Radio Gold. All the way to Zongo Junction to Abose Okai. So basically you can cut from Radio Gold to the Kolebu traffic light and then jump all the way to the Circle.
This is what Bernard is talking about. So if I zoom here, you see the Kolebu area. This is Ablekuma South, right? Okay. It's a coastal community. Choko, all these places are close in this area. This is Kolebu Teaching Hospital. Well laid out there. And then you come up here and then you get to Ablekuma Central. Now this is ICGC. The Christ Temple, ICGC. That is the stream. You move to the left of ICGC. You are seeing the Abose Okai areas. You are seeing all these other areas. Abose Okai is here. Great Lamte Middle School is here. Prince of Peace Presbyterian. You move further, you get to the Radio Gold areas. So it's a different area. So it's a market constituency which brings people from all walks of life into the area. Commerce market. So you have the Kaya population, you have the traders population.
Everything is there.
That's a difficult one.
Businessman population.
Crazy.
You have all the
let me make it more exciting for you. It's just 4 roads. Obechebilamte Circle is one angle.
Okay.
First Light.
Kaneshie First Light. Yes.
Kaneshie First Light going to Mataheko.
Okay.
Into Zongo Junction, Radio Gold at the top. Coming back to the road that from Martin de Porres brings you to the traffic light back to ICGC. So you've just carved it. So you see, if you are driving to Kolebu and you get to the traffic light that is near where there's New Hope and Martin de Porres School, on the right side, left side is Kolebu. On your right takes you to Radio Gold, Bishop Bowers. It's Bishop Bowers, not Martin, but Bishop Bowers. So the traffic light that takes you to Bishop Bowers, on the left of Bishop Bowers on the left. That traffic light takes to Radio Gold.
So Bishop Bowers is showing on the screen.
Bishop Bowers is in Kolebu. Opposite that road is Ablekuma Central.
Yes.
So it gets you to Radio Gold traffic light. When you turn it right and come back to Zongo Junction, all Ablekuma Central. Now, why is it interesting? You go to Zongo Junction, Zongo. I'll prove to you later on that ethnicity and religion sometimes have a role to play in voting, but not too much. So a Zongo community is typically dominated by NDC. Okay. But Aboso Kai will typically be MPP favor, and they're in the same constituency. Then Latebi Okosi was one of the built-up areas where people who used to work in Kolebu, who didn't live in Kolebu.
Yeah.
So my dad used to work at Kolebu. Our first house was in Latebi Okoshi.
Okay.
All right. So a lot of the Kolebu, both
the staff
would live in Latebi Okoshi. Then there's Matahiko, which is not first light. The traffic light that you get to before you get to Accra Academy on the left side.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag. It's a bit like also West Wagon, which is why if you look into the crystal ball for 2020, it's also still very difficult. In fact, in 2016, when we were doing our dipstick surveys, the team chose Ablekuma Central as one of the test places to determine who was going to win, because we felt that it has all the characteristics of an uncertain constituency. And I think some of the geographical and economic activities explain that. It's the history that we don't know too much, because what the history usually does is to tell you personalities and encounters. Like, it's a very highly urbanized area, the history is not that strong. Because if you go to certain rural constituencies, something happens which forces the people to choose to vote in a certain way. In urban constituencies, it's not that, the history is not that important. It's more the issues and the personalities, which is why the history is not important. So Ablekuma Central is the bellwether of the Ablekumas. I've already told you Ablekuma South is NDC leaning, Ablekuma West is NPP leaning. Ablekuma North
is also NPP.
NPP since record started. Now, where is Ablekuma North?
Ablekuma North, if we have to go through the figures, we do 2012, 2016. In 2012, 2016, as we mentioned for Ablekuma West, there was a gain from 18% to 25%. Now, this is what happened in Ablekuma North, from 22% to 34%. The margin in 2012 was 20,000. In 2018 was 28,000. And the thing with this constituency also is that it's one of the most populous Ablekuma constituencies.
Okay.
So NPP got 54,000 in 2012. In 2016, they got 54,000. In fact, in 2015, their votes dropped slightly. It was 54,864 in 2012 and 54,740 in 2016. But if you check for NDC, in 2012, the NDC vote was 34,802. In 2016, the NDC vote dropped to 26,658. And so in all, the total valid vote also dropped. 2012 was 90,000 for Ablekuma North. In 2016 was 82,000 for Ablekuma North. So it's still an NPP stronghold with a wide margin for 2016 compared to 2012.
Okay, so with the Ablekumas, the MPP has 2, the NDC has 1, and then the fourth is mixed up.
Now, the funny thing is that if you look on the map, Ablekuma North is not north of Ablekuma Central. North of Ablekuma Central is Okankwe South. So Ablekuma North is actually northwest of Ablekuma Central. All right. Ablekuma North and Okankwe South are very similar. It's the same area, which is why if you look at their voting behavior, it's the same. So I'm saying this because if you use the description we gave, when you get to Accra Academy, Kaneshi Market going up is Okankwe South. That should have been Ablekuma North, but Ablekuma is moving to the northwest. So you have Kwashiman, Dakuman. Okay, you have places like Sakaman. They are also, it's a bit of the, that's what I'm saying. If you look at the map, it's actually northwest of Ablekuma Central. It's not exactly north. Good. So Odoko is there, Sakaman is there, Awushi is there, Nyamiche Junction. So yesterday, Umaru went to do some work at Kokompe. Dakuman Kokompe is in Ablekuma North. Because when you get to Dakuman Junction and you go all the way to Nyamiche, okay, to George Bush, Nyamiche is on George Bush Highway. That whole space moving to Sakaman is Ablekuma North. So Ablekuma North is actually northwest of Ablekuma Central. So you have Awushi, you have Kwashibu, Odoko. There's a place called Utating.
Utating.
Yeah,
You're in the middle. You're sitting in the middle.
Sakaman. East part of Dakuman. So both the east and west Dakuman is separated by a road. East and west Dakuman are there. And then Nyamiche, all of that area is Ablekuma North. And I'm not too sure why the MPP wins it so well. Kwame Nabatels was the first MP after 92. 92, there was a guy called Adam Yeboah. He won for NDC, but Kwame Nabatels didn't run. Funny thing, Kwame Nabatels in 92 was running for Agona West. But then they boycotted the election. Then he comes to Accra, and then he runs for MPP for Ablekuma North, and he wins 3 consecutive terms. Then Justice Joe Appiah wins 2 consecutive terms. Nana Akua also a 3-year wins in 2016.
Okay.
And guess what? Kwame Nabatel's daughter is now the MPP candidate for Ablekuma North. So, and it's very likely that she's going to win because the makeup of the place is very.
So I was doing an exercise using the Google Earth platform, and for a place like Ablekuma Central, if you search for the number of mosques, right, you see a lot of mosques popping up. If you go to Ablekuma North, you don't see as many mosques. You see more churches. Bernard has been giving us an idea that ethnicity and sometimes religious leanings also feed into where the votes go. So you go to areas like...
but you know what's funny about what you said? The central mosque in Accra is Aboso Central Mosque.
Yeah.
And that's
I was going to mention.
that's in
but they don't get to there. That leaning to that side.
It's correct. The biggest mosque, Zongo Junction is in Ablekuma Central.
Yeah.
And Aboso Central Mosque next to ICGs is also in Ablekuma Central.
Yeah.
So that actually...
And who wins there?
This is where Tete Chai won twice. So initially,
say for NDC.
No, that's the mixed bag. Because it has Mateko as Latebi Okoshi, it has Zongo Junction, and it has Abose Okan itself. So we are saying it's a mixed bag, and you can't predict who's going to be powerful there. Now, I wanted to move from Ablekuma North and compare it. I wanted to just compare Ablekuma North numbers to Okankwe South, because Ablekuma North and Okankwe South, in my view, are adjacent constituencies. Okay. Similar characteristics. Nana Komia and
you are not wrong.
Kwame Nabatel.
The trend is correct.
Let's see the number.
Okankwe South, NPP increased. They moved from 13% of their gains to 24%. So 2012, the margin was 13%. 2016 was 24%, almost doubling it. Right.
Okay.
If you look at the absolute margins, 2012, the margin between NDC and MPP was 9,421. In 2016, it was 15,332. So they actually increased. Now, 2012, if you look at NPP votes, 39,690. 2016, 39,955. So they seem to maintain their votes. We don't see a lot of difference. For example, if you look at the Ablekuma North votes, 54,864, 2012. And that's for MPP. 2016, 54,770. If you come down to Okankwe South, 36,690, 39,690, 2012. 2016, 39,000 again, right? But the NDC votes drop in those areas, and it increases the margin for the NPP for those areas, which add on to their Greater Accra regional margin. So Ablekuma North, NPP gained massively. Okankwe South, NPP gained massively.
So Ablekuma North and Okankwe South are twins. I really think so. When I study the numbers, and if you look at some of the places in Okankwe South, you know Accra very well. So this is Kaneshi. Don't forget, we said that Ablekuma Central is on the Kaneshi Road, Mpamprom left, Aboso
on the left side.
Across the road is Okankwe South. So Kaneshi Market is Ablekuma, Okankwe South. And then you have Bubiashi, Awudome, where the cemetery is. Then there's Abeno. Then there's a place they call Mukose. Then there's a place called Gonte. These are electoral areas. So there are places that it's not. You may not. How shall I say? It's not a name of a place. It's an electoral area. Because if they say Gonte electoral area, it may be different communities.
So let's show people the Kaneshi area for them to know what we are talking about. So this is the Kaneshi market.
Yes.
Right.
Okankwe South.
Now, this road, when you cross, you've crossed into a different constituency.
So the road separates from the other.
This is the Kaneshi market.
Okay.
Now,
and it goes all the way to Accra Academy.
Yes, it goes all the way.
From Accra Academy going up is Ablekuma North. And then the Accra Academy on the right side is Okankwe South.
So this is Accra Academy, right? So Accra Academy, all the way to the other side is Ablekuma North. Now where the Kaneshi market is, gets you to the central area. And then you go all the way up, you get to places like this side, the St. Teresa School area.
So you are talking about Swan Lake, Ogle Road. So this is what do you call it?
So this is
North Kaneshi. North Kaneshi is also part of Okankwe South. North Kaneshi. You know Accra very well. Not Cape. So Ablekuma North and Okankwe South are twins.
Okay.
That's how you see it. So there's
Nana
Komia and
that they have
Kwame
similar things.
The other thing I also noticed is that based on who, there's something I've noticed. So whoever wins the seats like 96, 2000, 2004 becomes like some kingmaker. So if you associate with them.
Okay, hold on with that. Let me take a quick break. I don't want you to rush it. Give me that filler after the break. So we'll be right back. Do you live in any of these 9 constituencies? Send us a message via Twitter or Facebook. Remember to add the hashtag Voters Diary, or you can send us that message on the WhatsApp number on your screen now. We'll be right back. And you're welcome back to the Voters Diary. My name is Vivian Lokko. I'm here with Bernard Avle as well as Kojo Akoto Boateng. So Bernard, you were talking about some key things around the
I just realized that for the MPP strongholds in particular, somehow there are some people whose footprints are so strong there. So if you go to Okankwe South, Nana Komia has been MP for 4 consecutive terms, 96, 2000, 2004, 2008. And some people believe it is his anointed successor, Ahmed Arthur, that won. Because at the time Ahmed wanted to come in 2012, he was facing competition from Vicky Bright. And because Nana Komia had been MP for so long and he was so popular, people believe that he was able to use his influence to get Ahmed Arthur to win. And he also had 2 successful terms. Before now, you have Dakwan, Newman now coming in. So it will be strange. Dakwan is going to win unless something very seismic happens. So Nana Komia is like the name you remember for Okankwe South. If you go to Ablekuma North, the name you remember is Kwame Nabatels. He won the seat 96, 2000, 2004. Again, people felt Joe Appiah was his chosen, preferred successor. He also won twice. Now you have Naneke also a free coming in, still MPP. And then you have Sheila Batel's son. Sheila Batel's coming in, and a lot of people feel that Batel's effect is what brought Sheila back. So Ekuya had just 1 term. She hadn't done anything wrong, but she's leaving. So similar to Teresa Tego, Ablekuma South, Ablekuma North, Kwame Nabatels, Okankwe South, Nana Komia. So there are certain names. But when you go to Ablekuma Central, you can't have one name. You see, that's what I'm saying. There's no one name that can say, I am the godfather. Itimen Saningo Pram Pram. There are constituencies when you go, you mention the name. You can even go to Ayawaso East and even argue that you could use Dr. Mustafa Ahmed. He's been MP for like 3 terms. If you go to Ayawaso Central, Ayawaso Central, Sheikh Isikwe. Again, Isikwe, it is his chosen successor, for want of a better word, Henry Kotti. When Isikwe was a 4-term MP, Henry Kotti has done 2 terms, and there are chances he will probably do more terms. Same type of succession plan that they did. The places that it hasn't really worked is places like Domi Kwabenya, where Michael Kwe does twice, Adwa Savo does twice, Okwe San comes, it doesn't really work. So when the place is decidedly MPP, because they came from opposition and Rawlings had ruled for 19 years, a lot of the MPs who came in were vibrant media liked people. So they became like strongholds in the constituency, and they've dominated the constituencies for a very, very long time.
Okay. Let's start with the constituencies where the MPP has a hold on these constituencies, in the 9 that you've mentioned, and why they are able to have that hold. What is leading to those trends we are seeing?
We've mentioned Ablekuma North for NPP. It's a strong constituency. They keep making gains there. We mentioned Ablekuma West, same. They keep making gains. Okankwe South, they are making gains. Okankwe Central, 2012, the NPP win was a bit low, 3,000 votes difference, but they doubled it in 2016. and it's become strong again. So Okaikwe Central is also one of those constituencies. And then you would mention Ayawaso Central. 2012, the vote difference was very, 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 very close, 218. And then in 2016, it increased 6,354. So it was a weak win in 2012, but in 2016 it became a strong constituency again. So these are clear for the NPP in these set of constituencies. Ablekuma Central, 2012, NDC won 4% of the votes difference, the margin. 2016, NPP took over just 5%. So nobody is really winning that constituency with wide margins. It's always very close. So that one is not clear, and that's our bellwether constituency in this list of constituencies we are looking at.
You know, some people wonder why new constituencies are created. So if you look at Okaikwe Central, it really baffles me because it was created in 2012. At the time NDC was in office. It was created out of Okaikwe South. And Okaikwe South was very strong MPP. And the Okaikwe Central they created, I think maybe somebody thought that because Fadama and Abeka were in Okaikwe Central, maybe it could tilt NDC. I don't know who did. I don't know. Because Okaikwe Central went straight to NPP as well. Patrick Buama to 2012. So sometimes I don't know why they, because Okaikwe Central is not even that big. Okay, in fact, Ablekuma North is as big as Okaikwe South. So why do you create Okaikwe Central out of it? For what? Same thing, Tema Central. Tema Central you create out of Tema West and Tema East. You just created another seat for NPP. Because the makeup of the place, I don't understand. I don't know because I don't know what equations they use. Because if you are looking for size, okay, Ablekuma North is as big as Okaikwe South. So why do you create Okaikwe Central out of Okaikwe South, but you don't do anything for Okaikwe North? Do you get me? So you have look at the places now.
But what's the population size of those two?
If you look at the municipal area, the Okaikwe North Municipal, 287,000 people.
No, not north. South.
No, I'm looking at the municipal before I come to, because we have more constituencies than the administrative districts, right? Even if you compare that to your area, Ladade Kotopong Municipal, population is 231,000. So the difference is not that much, right? Now look at voter population, the Okaikwe constituencies, Okaikwe North and South. You look at total valid votes in 2012 of 58,000 and 75,000. You add central to it, 66,000, right? So this is Okaikwe South. If you look at the numbers, Okaikwe South, Okaikwe North, 70,000 total valid votes in 2012, 58,000, right? If you add Okaikwe Central to it, you're looking at 66,000. So the numbers are also not that big. Because if Ladade Kotopong, your constituency, your municipal area and constituency can have this big number, why are we not slicing it?
Giving people ideas, and next thing they'll tell us they are creating Ladade Kotopong Central. So, but I think a few days back you were giving us reasons that lead to the creation or the division.
Yeah. So sometimes they'll say that the area physically is too big for one administrative area. Number two, sometimes even though the place may be small, it may have revenue potential. So there could be a huge market there. So even though it's not that big in terms of population, the viability as a district leads to the creation of a municipality. Then, of course, constituencies then follow in the same sense. So Abeka is a big place. Let's be honest. Abeka is the capital of Okaikwe Central. So yes, think about Okaikwe South. It's so like this. Can you see there? So if you are in Abeka or you are in Fadama, you are really at the fringes. So maybe Abeka, Fadama people is like, we also need our own, Apenkwa and those kind of places. So maybe that is the reason why.
Behind the separation.
That don't forget that until the George Bokabush Road was done, Abeka was a very densely populated, traffic-infested area. Okay, where La Paz was opposite the road and Abeka was on this side, Abeka Junction area. So I don't know. So now the other thing is, one constituency I've never really been able to understand is Okaikwe North. Because when I look at the places there, I think it should be closer than it always is, but NPP always wins it. So this is across the road. Okay, so you have Abeka, Tesano, all in Okaikwe Central. Okay, Papaye. Then when you cross the road, you are in Okaikwe North. So Akweteman all the way to Achimota, Anumle, Abofu. I don't know. If you look at the history, MPP always wins it very well.
But the places you mentioned, it's so surprising if MPP wins. So,
you see, and really?
Yes.
Anumle, Achimota,
Akwetema, and then which other area?
Mention the rest of them.
Niboyman.
Niboyman is now very.
I'm coming on. Niboyman, Anumle, Abofu. These places have traditional communities before people came to build
traditional communities
that
have been gentrified.
They're
Look,
gone.
Bernard, if you go to that area, is that not where the petroleum estates people are?
Those places have changed over that.
What are
unless you can give us
what are the NDC MPP numbers? Because for me, Niboyman, when Niboyman is across the road, getting towards
I get
Lapa.
So let's go back and see the numbers as from for NDC.
So you mean Okaikwe North, right?
Yes, Okaikwe North.
2012 NDC won Okaikwe North. Then 2016 NPP took over.
No, presidential or parliamentary?
I'm talking about presidential.
Okay.
Now the presidential win of the NDC in 2012 wasn't that strong, but in 2016 when NPP won, they won with 11%. The margin was 11% of the total.
So NDC won in 2012.
Yes, it was 4%.
But NDC has never had an MP for Okaikwe North since '96.
Sorry,
so Joseph Darko Mensah won it twice. Elizabeth Saki won it 3 times, and then Hussein Issa has won it. So, I think then it explains it.
Yeah.
The fact that NDC can win the presidential there by a slight margin, because when I look at the makeup of the place, it's not such a wild MPP place. If you look at some of the things we say, so it's not surprising that NDC won in 2012. I don't know the gap for 2016 though, when NPP won back.
So when NDC won, the difference was 2,175. When NPP won, it was 5,562. So
that's a 7,000 switch.
Yes, it was almost a little over a doubling of the.
I mean that the
figure.
area and the names, I'm not
but
surprised.
The area is changing.
No,
the area is changing. If you drive through the area, you see.
Is that Abofu?
Abofu.
If you drive through the area, you see gentrification coming up. You see a lot of different things happening in the area. So with time, the area is taking a new character.
Okay, so if we're done with the Okaikwe and the Ablekumas, let's do the Ayawaso because our time is really now limited.
So just to
wrapping up on the two.
Of the 3 Okaikwe's, the closest is Okaikwe North.
Okay.
Central and South are still strongly MPP. So if MDC will pull a surprise in any of the Okaikwe's, it will be North.
It will be North,
or presidential or possibly parliamentary, I don't know. Because we've already done that for Ablekuma. Now the Ayawasos are also very interesting. Initially they were 3, and then they became 4. Ayawaso East, Nima Mamobi initially. Okay, Nima Mamobi initially. Kanda. That was massive. I remember the year 2000. There was a huge argument over the parliamentary. They counted like 4 times. Because Kofi Wayo actually believed he won for MPP.
Hey, but where is Kofi Wayo?
I don't know. So Ayawaso East is a strong NDC place.
Okay, so East to NDC.
Good. Central is MPP.
Okay, which area?
Even though the gap, I'm coming. Central is a bit like Okaikwe North. MPP wins it, but it's not like some wild winning. Okay, but Isikwe, again, one of the iconic MPP figures, they always manage to pull it through for MPP. It's been close. MDC has tried all kinds of people. Somehow MPP still wins it. Even in fact, in the 2012 election, the presidential was less than 200 votes. Very, very close, if you can check for me. But MPP will still win it for some reason. Maybe the names of the places will help you. We are talking about Ayawaso Central. So we are looking at a place like Akoto is the capital. Then you have Malata Market. You have Alajo, both Alajo Central and Alajo North. You have Pig Farm. Then you have Kotobabi, all in Ayawaso Central.
Pig Farm, Kotobabi.
Yes.
And
there's a place they call Kasajan.
Yeah.
It's also there. Malata is there. There's Ninote Agbo. That's the electoral area. There's a place called Kwe Mensa. Now,
but with the names you are mentioning, you think that it will go towards the NDC.
That's my point. So it's always very close.
Going on there?
That's why I'm saying that people like Isikwe have become iconic because you see, they use their power of. Isikwe is one of the highest Islamic clerics in this country, globally recognized, very loved among the Muslim community. Okay, so I think Isikwe uses his pulling power to tip it for MPP. Because the nature of that place should not be won by MPP since when? There's no NDC has never won.
Yeah.
Who has been? There's no NDC.
So can you pull it out for us?
96 IC 2000 IC 2004 IC 2008 IC 2012 Henry Korte, 2016 Henry Korte. And we are told Henry Korte is close to Isaac. So he's continued that.
Okay.
He's also a very popular person. NDC had a guy they called Obama, near J. There was a 1 year he almost
got the thing.
NPP still won it.
Oh, interesting.
It's very
so I think what you said about Isaac explains why we're seeing
I
that.
think it's
that okay, so for Central.
Ayawaso Central, 2012, 2016. What Bernard is saying, the interesting thing, 2012 the margin was 218. NPP won, but the margin was just 218, the difference. But in 2016, NPP won 6,354. So though in 2012 it was a weak win for the NPP for the presidential there, in 2016 it became a strong win. So now the 2012 figure, NPP got 33,424, NDC got 33,206. So it was very close.
It was one of the tightest races in Ghana. 2020. They did a lot of counting. I think they counted like 3 times.
Yes.
But still, the thing was not moving.
And 2016, NPP 33,699. Now look at this. 2012, NPP 33,400. 2016, 33,600. So the gain wasn't that much. But NDC 2012, 33,200. 2016, 27,300.
They lost by 5.
NDC lost a lot of votes, which made the NPP give them that gap they gave them in 2016.
Geographically, Ayawaso Central is adjacent to Ayawaso East. So Mamobi used to be Ayawaso East. But then in 2012, they broke it into 2. Ayawaso East was divided into 2. So Mamobi then became Ayawaso North, and then Nima became Ayawaso East. So Ayawaso East used to be Nima and Mamobi as one. They broke it. So Accra Girls, which you are very familiar with, Accra Girls is Ayawaso North.
Okay.
Then when you come down the Kanda Highway towards the 441, that's Nima, is Ayawaso East. Again, that constituency used to be, in fact, the MP for the constituency in 79 was called Alaji Fao. They used to call him the chief of Nima. He was the MP in 79 election, strongly NDC constituency. Then in 96, there was Farouk Brahma. Then you had Dr. Mustafa Ahmed, who's a dentist. He's won it like 3 times. Then they split it into 2. Then Malam Nasa Toure won, and then you have Yusuf Jaja also winning the other side. So that's NDC's major stronghold in Ayawaso. So again, ICK becomes a corner because if it wasn't for him, NDC would have captured from the 90s all the Ayawaso Central, Ayawaso East, Ayawaso North. Good. Then you come to Ayawaso West.
Hold on a second. Let me show something to viewers. And I'll use Accra Girls as my reference point. So this is Accra Girls Senior High School. Right? As you can see, this is the school Vivian Lokko attended.
Thank you.
Now there's a road. There's a road. There's a road up here, right? Now this road basically separates Nima and Mamobi.
Fantastic.
And so this road separates Nima and Mamobi. So you cross this side, you are in one constituency. You come down, you are in another constituency. But Nima and Mamobi, technically, it's like the second Takrade conversation. It's a twin neighborhood. They are one people. But
in fact, when you take a car from Madina to Nima, it's Nima Mamobi. It's one destination.
So here you can see the Mamobi General Hospital in this particular shot.
So again, a quick thing, sorry to cut you. So you see what happened in Okankwe South. You take an MPP constituency, split it into 2. MPP has 2 MPs. It's the same for
the Ayawaso side.
Yes. You take an NDC constituency, divide into 2. So they were just sharing the thing. So they take Ayawaso East, they divide into 2. NDC takes the 2 MPs in parliament. They take Okankwe South, they split it into 2. MPP has 2. So Obia Pepe. That's the kind of thing they were doing. But for some of them, then they will split a highly competitive one into an NDC MPP like Avle South. But for certain times, they will just split the thing into 2 so that they will just get more MPs in the parliament.
Okay. Ayawaso
West, which is what we call gerrymandering.
Okay, let's wrap up with Ayawaso West Wogon.
Okay, Ayawaso West Wogon. Before Bernard comes in, let's run through the figures to give people a sense of what has happened so far. NPP in 2012 got 31,000 votes. NPP 2016, 32,000 votes. NDC in 2012 got 31,000 votes. Now the difference is that NDC was 31,500 and NPP's 31,000 was 31,023. So the difference was also very slim, 514 in 2012. Then comes 2016. So NDC won in presidential in 2012. Then 2016, NPP got 32,493 votes. So they gained slightly. Then NDC got 24,208. So they lost a lot of votes. So the difference became 8,285 in favor of the NPP. So it switched the seat from a weak NDC constituency to a strong NPP constituency when it comes to the presidential vote.
Yeah. Just want to say something quickly. Ayawaso North's neighbor to the west is Ayawaso Central. So Accra New Town is Ayawaso North. Okay, but Pig Farm is Ayawaso Central. So it's just to give you a sense of the division. And that's why the characteristics of voters in Ayawaso North is not that much different from Ayawaso Central. Just that because Central is more closer to the Achimota areas, NPP tends to do better. Now, Ayawaso West Wogon, again, and it's become an MPP thing, which NDC has tried very hard to win. Look, some of the people who tried to run for NDC, so this what happened in 92, Kenjirasa was the MP, but there was no contest. 96, Rebecca Adote won, but it was contested. Apparently, George Azikamu had won the seat. So when he went to court, by the time the court case finished, Rebecca Adote had finished her term. So when I was in Legon in 2000, there was a lot of sympathy support for George Azikamu. I remember a lot of my roommates said they were going to vote for Azikamu because he had been cheated. So he won in 2004. Then Fremont Separi came to win it twice for NPP. Then Chamati won it twice. Now, NDC's performance there is based on who they put up. So after George Azikamu, they tried, in fact, they had tried Elvis Ankra. Then George Azikamu for MPP. They tried Kojo Chumbuafu, who gave the MPP's Frema a run for her money, but Frema still won. Then they brought what's the name of this guy? Darko. Darko was I forget his name. Sweb.
The Sweb.
Yes, they brought him as well. So what tends to happen is that the candidate NDC brings tends to influence their vote performance. So NPP is now it's a light blue. It's not deep blue. It's light blue. So it's, in my view, it's very similar to Ablekuma Central.
Okay.
It's supposed to be like Ablekuma Central. Look at the places there. The University of Ghana is there. Jowulu is there.
Part of East Legon.
East Legon is there. Airport Residential is there.
Shachi.
But Abelenkpe is there. Bawaleshi is also there. It's been gentrified though.
Bawaleshi.
La Bawaleshi. And there's Jowulu. And then Roman Ridge.
All right.
Oh, is it time?
Yes, it's time, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. And
it's going to be one of the most exciting races.
Yes, so we look forward to that. We have
John Dumelo,
Lydia and John Dumelo on that ticket. So we'll see how it goes. But thank you so much, Bernard Avle and Kojo Akoto. My name is Vivian Lokko. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on Monday. Goodbye.
Voter's Diary is sponsored by Samsung. Samsung, inspire the world, create the future.